I'm Martin, and joining me this week I have Chris Walker-Thompson.
Hello.
And Sam Michael.
Hello again.
Gentlemen, how are you?
No, I'm really excited about this. As you knew, I'm here and I'm ready for war. And this is no laughing matter, of course. We must remember this is a very serious podcast. We're discussing a very serious theme, which is split. I would say split the fandom more than anything that has ever happened. Because as we know, the fandom of Doctor Who is normally a very quiet and peaceful place.
Always.
Where everybody's points of views are taken on seriously, and we all get on very well, and it's just an absolute charming fan base to be part of. But there is this, because I've had to face so much backlash for my views, that, well, it's not even a view, it's a fact. That Dimensions in Time is canon.
Well, I put out a Twitter poll yesterday, and I said, all right, Doctor Who fans, time for a poll. Is Dimensions in Time canon? 173 votes, 61% no, 39% yes. For the first few hours, it looked like the yeses were winning.
But I've said it before, democracy doesn't work.
Usually in like the first few hours of any election, isn't it? It's always looking like it's going to go one way, and then right at the very end, it goes, "Oh, you all hated it."
It does remind me of various other votes that have taken place in the last few years. I went to bed; it was all looking fine. I thought, this is safe. I'm off to bed. I woke up to the awful news to find that 61%. Did you say?
61%.
Right. Well, I've woken up to find that 61% of the people are wrong. This is a travesty.
Dimensions in Time means dimensions in time.
Dimensions means time. And I would warn anyone as well. I think if you found it on YouTube, I would rip it and keep it soon. Because I guarantee the second we get a Blu-ray with a Rani episode in, it's going to be a special feature. So I think had we got like a season 22 or we get a season, is it 2024, one with the Rani in, I think they're going to literally nick that off YouTube, and it's going to be a feature on a Blu-ray episode, The Dimensions in Time. Because it starts off, you get the full version of it on not Comic Relief, on Children in Need, with the sketch with Noel Edmonds and John Pertwee. Have you seen that? John Pertwee, to prove that he's magic, actually predicts 2010.
With Deal or No Deal, yeah.
Yeah, he said, I can't do that. I'm not even going to try and do an impression this evening because we've got the master in. It'll be embarrassing for me.
You'll find you have to talk a bit like that sometimes. That's about as far as I can go with it.
He's got the pace of it right. Oh, that's so good. I can listen to that. I think we should have like a 10 minutes where we just sit and listen to Chris doing impressions.
Let's talk about Dimensions in Time. Is it canon? My arse it is.
Yeah, he comes on, doesn't he? He says, I've been to the year 2010. You're still on telly. And Noel Edmonds looks all excited. He says, am I doing serious telly now, serious dramas? And he says, I'm a time traveler, I don't work miracles. But he just does give him a look, doesn't he? Gives him a look as if to say, mate, not only you're on telly doing awful stuff in 2010, you've gone mad. You're like symbols on your hand, you're asking contestants on dates to museums, and you're doing your cosmic ordering and saying that little magic boxes can cure cancer and things. Like, it's almost like John really knows that he's going in a bad way.
When did you guys first experience Dimensions in Time?
I love that you say that. I was like, now, when were you first inappropriately touched by Dimensions? I can't remember when it was. I think I at some point was looking over old clips years ago. Maybe I think it was on Google Videos or something like that. I was definitely too young to at the 93 showing of it.
I watched it at the time. I remember it being on. I had the 3D specs.
It wasn't like standard 3D. It used this thing called the porphyric effect, which is why the camera spins so much, is because the porphyric effect only works when something's in motion constantly.
Mm-hmm.
Right.
So it wasn't like a traditional blue and red 3D glasses. You had to get these proper, I think one of them's dark and one of them's clear.
Yeah, that's it. Because I kept these glasses for a while because we recorded it. Still probably somewhere got the VHS. We recorded it that night. It's not 3D. The only bit that was 3D is, you know, the bit when Tom Baker does the Mayday speech and there's those things in the background, like he's against the green screen and there's all these weird effects. They're 3D, but other than that, I don't remember any of it being 3D. I watched it with my gran, and my gran, bless her, was going, I don't think these work. I was 5 at the time and going, yeah, I think mine are broken. Even like a few years down the line, still having the glasses, still watching it on video and going, nah, it's not 3D. Technically, I suppose Dimensions in Time, and I genuinely, and I'm not even joking here. If you're not counting the new series, if I was to list my top 10 stories of all time classic series, it would be at number 10.
Do you not like a lot of Doctor Who? Number 10 is Dimensions in Time. Anything above that must be good.
Number 9, Canon and Company. It's the first kind of new story I ever watched because I was only 1.5 when the show went off air in '89, and this was its proper well, not proper. Well, yes, proper. I'm going to fight its corner. It's its first comeback before the 96 TV movie. It was this little show, and it was made quite a big deal of. People forget it was a big deal. It had been off for quite a while.
Yeah.
It was back, and they'd brought back all the old doctors and everything. So it was actually quite a big deal on the night.
This was in place of the 30th anniversary film called The Dark Dimension, which was in the development. Various funding problems got in the way, and the other doctors weren't happy that the BBC kind of wanted to take them out and have Tom Baker as the main focus.
I didn't know that.
Yeah, have you seen the design of the Cybermen for that? They look amazing. The Cybermen that they were going to build for this thing was good. And Rick Mail was going to be the baddie.
That would have been quite cool to see, actually.
And then, it got whittled down to time and 3 dimensions, and then eventually it became Dimensions in Time when Children Need decided they wanted to include EastEnders and they wanted it to be in 3D. Originally it was going to be the 7th Doctor and the Brigadier travelling to a unit reunion. On the way they'd get with by Cybermen.
Yeah.
And then when they get at the reunion, there would be all the old companions and the other doctors.
Oh, that's pretty cool. A lot of scripts, I think, went in around this time to try and bring it back for the 30th anniversary. Isn't it amazing that of all the scripts that got through, this was the one that made...
Well, yeah, they were granted 1 day to film on the EastEnders set. It just took way longer, so they were eventually granted a second day. EastEnders was in its heyday at this point.
Oh, yeah.
You just had the Phil and Grant Sharon story. Do you remember that, with the tape recorder?
Yeah, that was massive.
That was one of the biggest storylines of EastEnders history. And interestingly, Dimensions in Time predicts Sharon in the future. There's a scene where, I think it's supposed to be 2013, with Sarah Jane, who they ridiculously put into her Hand of Fear costume.
Yeah.
She's like that kind of Dungarees thing. By this point, Elizabeth Sladen, she would have been, sort of mid to late 40s, and they go and snuggle her into this thing that she kind of looked cute in when she was in her 20s. It looks very strange. They put her in a funny hat, but she's talking to Sharon, who they've tried to make look like she's in the future, but essentially they've dressed her up how she looks now. So at the time, Sharon was kind of a very 90s business-looking woman. She wore like the female business suits because she ran the Vic. She had a short bob haircut, looked very, very business-like. And they made her kind of look quite... They sort of tightened her up a bit. They put her in a kind of low-cut blouse, as they would have called back then, a sort of Essex girl costume, and long blonde hair. And that is how she dresses now in EastEnders. So it's worth a look, that. I mean, this is the thing as well. You got to think, Dimensions in Time, if it's canon, Mike Reed was in Doctor Who.
And he's got one of the best sort of reaction images, isn't it? Yeah. So people get thrown out, never pulled in.
Is Pat in it? Oh, she is, isn't she?
She is, yeah, briefly.
That awful circling shot.
But then you fall into the paradox, because obviously Geeta would later turn up in Doctor Who.
She would.
Okay, if this is canon, does this take place in like the Dream Lord's world?
So the Rani is with a companion here, isn't she, in her TARDIS? A lovely floral pattern on the floor, which I think we should definitely mention. This person who she's with can operate the TARDIS, if you watch carefully. So in my mind, this person is a Time Lord who she's with. She's never named. He's named in an outtake, but we're not taking that seriously. I think this person is the War Chief, who we saw last in the War Games. And the War Chief, he can create a kind of world where they can take people out and put them in different zones and different stuff like that, right? Now, him and the Rani have decided to capture the Doctor and put him through his own little personal hell. For a laugh, just for the lols, they've decided to create a world that completely replicates EastEnders, the soap opera. So what they've done is that, so you got to think in this world, because we've seen EastEnders pop up a few times in Doctor Who, and I like to think it niggles the Doctor. I don't think the Doctor likes EastEnders. I think it annoys him a little bit. What they've done is they've created this they've taken EastEnders, recreated it in this little time loop thing, and they've taken the Doctors out and they put them in it, including the first and the second Doctor, but we don't see the first and the second Doctor. And I think if they stay in this world, which they've fictionalized, a little bit like the Matrix that Missy puts together in the end of series 8. So that sort of thing, strange little world full of funny characters, puts them in there and they live it all out and everything. And when they're in there for too long, they merge and they're essentially lost. They stay there for too long, they lose themselves. That's what happens to the first and the second Doctor. She whacks the third, the fourth, the fifth, the sixth, the seventh, all in there. But they find a way to get out. The reason for them doing it, I haven't decided yet. If it's to be canon, that is what the setup is.
I can actually hear the zippers on your anorak go up.
I could hear you both going, under your breath.
Did you know that according to Louise Jameson, Sylvester McCoy arrived very late and very hungover, which is why he gets all the technobabble, because the other doctors punished him for being late?
Oh.
It could explain why there's so many bad ADR moments in this, like where he just goes, "The Rani's TARDIS, it'll implode."
I always took that they left some dialogue out, like they didn't know what they were doing. So they sort of went, hang on, this doesn't make any sense. So they quickly,
none of it makes sense. They didn't know what they were doing. I've watched this 4 times now. I don't know what the plot is.
Yeah, wait for the novelisation. Don't worry, it'll be free. It'll be available for £30.99 on. You laugh, Chris. I'm hiring you, mate. You're playing all the doctors when we take it to Big Finish. Who should save the Doctor, Big Ron or Mandy? Who the hell voted for Mandy?
Oh, well, she raised over £100,000.
I don't care how much she was it raised. Right, I'll take that for him. That was Russian money going towards that vote. I should mention this time. Has anybody seen like the rough cuts and the outtakes from this?
Yeah. You can find Big Ron's version. It's exactly the same, but just of him.
Much better, because in Mandy's version, it looks like she's saving the Rani. I genuinely don't think they told her. They basically said, and you've got to save her. She grabs Liz Shaw and says, "Leave her alone."
Hey, what are you doing? Leave her alone. Yeah, why would you help the woman with the gun?
Exactly. She turns it on her, and then another girl appears with Mandy.
Yeah, out of nowhere.
And I genuinely think that woman is the most beautiful woman who ever lived.
Who is she? We need to find out.
But when I was younger, I really fancied her, and I still do. I watched it today and thought, she's the most beautiful woman I think I've ever seen. I will never know who she is. Mandy's friend.
This was like a ratings juggernaut because the first part got 13.8 million views.
That's more than Jodie Whittaker gets in a week. No, sorry.
The second one got 13.6. So a lot of people tuned in for this.
Tell me how. Oh, it makes me so mad. Honestly, it was amazing. It was great television. It's also the thing is that it is fun to watch. It's digestible. Something you can watch very quick. It's 20 minutes long altogether, and it's just a lot of fan service. It's a lot of good fun. And the thing is, people kick off about this and go, "Oh, it's really naff. It's crap." But if you watch any of like the Avengers movies, right?
Right.
Don't giggle as if to go fucking it.
Yes, I'm just interested to hear where you're comparing Dimensions in Time with the Avengers franchise.
I wouldn't. Do you know what? I'm not really. I'm not making. I'm not comparing them because Dimension in Time is so much more superior. And but if you watch the Avengers, they'll take a big 10-minute chunk and make it just fan service. Everyone just flies out, everyone fights, everyone does their special moves. Everyone it's him and it's him and it's him and it's all these. And that's all they did in Doctor Who. They were doing it before it was fashionable. It was just a big crossover. You got the Cybermen and various other baddies all chasing them around Albert Square. Great. And there's Perry and the Fifth Doctor. I remember not for a long time not knowing that was Nyssa. I remember who that was.
Every doctor has to say the name of the companion because there's a lot of the audience that wouldn't know. Like, I wouldn't have guessed who Victoria was. And she's wearing that cloak because she broke her arm rollerblading.
That's amazing. Did she really?
Yeah.
Amazing. Oh, that's sad. Is that because she looks like an old woman there? Bless her, Vicky.
What's that old woman? Yeah.
Who's that terrible woman? Story-wise, it does make no sense because ultimately, I get it from the sense that the Rani kind of pops out, doesn't she? And when the Fifth Doctor's cornered, she comes out and says, "You're going on a long journey, very long journey." So I assume that gun would have sent them through to the time tunnel, and something's gone wrong. And basically, I assume she was trying to do each Doctor at a time. But again, wait for the novel, guys. It's all going to make a lot of sense. It's a great bestseller, and then I'll be the one on the Blu-ray.
This was around the time that kicked off Tom Baker's renaissance with his career. And I think it goes hand in hand with him accepting that he was the Doctor.
Funny you should say that because he had a bit of... he went onto a show at that time called Medics. Do you remember that was very popular?
Yeah, and he was also doing TV ads in New Zealand as the Doctor at this point.
It felt like that during the period between Sylvester McCoy and Paul McGann, it felt for many that Sylvester McCoy wasn't the Doctor in that period. It was John Pertwee. John Pertwee did a lot of television
Yes, he did a lot of conventions and whatnot as well. He was everywhere. And
you really would have think that Noel Edmonds bit at the beginning should have been Sylvester McCoy, because he was the most recent Doctor.
Yeah.
You think now we've got a whole year off without Jodie Whittaker. So if there was a TV special or a comic relief or something like that, and they brought on the Doctor, they'd bring on Jodie Whittaker, because if they brought in Matt Smith, you'd think, oh God, something's gone wrong here. And I wonder if that was the feeling back then, because they would have said, oh, to introduce this special, this 30th anniversary special, here is it's not Sylvester McCoy, it's John Pertwee, and he was used for a lot of things back then. I remember very strangely there was a Cilla Black surprise episode with a Doctor Who fan who got to meet the Doctor, and that Doctor was John Pertwee. And I wonder how Sylvester McCoy felt at the time.
John Pertwee came off the back of Wurzel, so he was still sort of a very common name. Maybe it was more the star power. I don't know. I think nowadays the thing is Doctor Who is so much bigger than it was back then, globally, that Jodie Whittaker is instantly a famous name already. Yeah. Whereas at the time, I think Sylvester McCoy was the Doctor on a show that was dying. So I don't think they would have had that appeal. And maybe because John was sort of the bigger name out of it, and Tom wasn't doing anything, and John, loves to put on the velvet jacket once more.
Tom Baker famously hated the script and for some reason wanted to play the Fourth Doctor with a bullet hole in his head. If you look at his scene, he's got a scar on his cheek, which is what John Nathan Turner talked him down to.
Oh, that we would assume then that the Rani and the War Chief have already got to him then. I've already got to Tom Baker.
Yeah, because where is he?
Is it one of those cases again where they can't take the Fourth Doctor out of time? He's stuck again.
Did you notice, though, he's got his hat pulled right down low, just above his eyebrows, to hide the fact that he doesn't have that curly brown hair anymore?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, that's a bit sad. I wondered why, if he had the thing on, he might have whacked a wig on or something, but he really didn't. Not long after he left Doctor Who, he cut all that off, didn't he?
He did, yeah. And the reason they got the first and second Doctor's head spinning round is because they thought that would be a decent plot device in case the other Doctors turned it down. They could just then be added.
Not a bad shout. They look weird. And they were 3D. I'll give them that. They were 3D. I was just thinking of some key moments that I really enjoy in Dimension Time. One of them is how straight Phil and Grant play it. Ross Kemp and Steve.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, they do, actually.
So straight with Lala Ward. They really are like, wait, I thought you closed this up. Wait, what's your game? And I like that Lala Ward, to look for the Doctor, went into a garage and then sat down.
Maybe that's just where she appeared. Maybe she was sitting down somewhere else in time and space.
That's one thing that weirds me out, and I think that they should have made clear. And I imagined this for a long time, even when I first watched it as a kid. I thought that literally the companions were just being taken out of wherever they'd been left and dropped in. So say that, like, for example, Mel, Bonnie Langford, was walking, was in her own time or whatever, and suddenly she was taken out and dropped, and suddenly she's in this place back with the Doctor. But it appears to be that it's the same person every time. So it's Ace the whole way through, but she becomes different companions. Because you see, when he gets Leela, he says to her, what form were you in when she caught you?
Oh, yeah.
Mana.
So Michael Gough was originally approached to reprise his role as the Celestial Toymaker.
He probably told him to
He did. Yeah. He'd done 2 Batman movies at this point. He didn't need them.
I think I heard this because they just told him, didn't they? He was, when all the enemies approach, I think he was literally just going to be in that lineup. I don't think he had any talking lines. He literally was just going to wander forward. Because I think there was also disgruntled about, I don't know the actor's name, but the guy who played in, I think, at least 2 serials, he played the Castellan.
Paul Jericho.
So he was hired to be in this as well. He was on, but if you look, he's just got a walk-on part. He's just dressed as a Time Lord with a gun.
Apparently, Anthony Aileen was approached, which he always denied when asked by fans. He said he would have loved to have appeared, but they didn't ask him.
Too busy watching the cricket.
Well, he got the last laugh in the Destiny of the Doctor game.
That's true. You look back, actually, and you think who was missing from this.
Katie Manning was still in Australia by this point, wasn't she?
She must have been, yeah. Again, going to some highlights, seeing the Brigadier with the 6th is good.
Yeah.
We've never seen that before. So that's actually quite a nice little scene.
Yeah, I like that.
And you also see the 3rd Doctor and him together, which is really nice.
It's the final on-screen appearance of the 3rd and the 6th Doctor.
Oh, yeah, that's a good point. I suppose, yeah, of them being characters seriously, because I suppose you could count the 5-ish Doctors with Colin Baker acting like the 6th Doctor, but...
No, you can't.
No.
You can't bullshit that one, Sam.
No, I'm not. The dimensions in time is enough. Yeah, I'm trying to think what other... The thing that annoys me a couple of times is when characters just haven't turned up in costume. So Carol Ann Ford, for example, just kind of rocks up in a cardi.
Well, she replaced Fraser Hines.
Oh, did
so
she?
I get the feeling that maybe it was, are you free this afternoon? We're filming something.
That seems like it for everyone who's in it. Kate O'Mara, can we just say? The brilliant Kate O'Mara. I mean, just stunning as the Rani.
Yes, yeah, I agree.
Absolutely amazing. I mean, I think her performance as the Rani, even though she was given bad scripts and, it wasn't the best episodes, I think her performance-wise, she's up there with Delgado as the Master. Like, I think it's just such a, big British iconic actor in a role. And bless her for coming in and doing this. She still was big. She was still doing, by this point, even the 90s, she was still appearing in...
Like Dynasty and stuff.
Yeah, American TV shows. She was doing films. And even, a couple of years after this, she was in Bad Girls. She's still... up to her death was, if you got Kate O'Mara on your show,
it does make you wish she had more than just 2 episodes,
3 episodes,
2 episodes,
3
and
episodes
Dimensions in Time,
right? Three fully fledged classic episodes of Doctor Who. Somebody has uploaded the rushes of all the Kate O'Mara scenes in the TARDIS with her companion, who is of course the War Chief, and it's only gone. This has only gone out in the last 2 months or so. So you can just YouTube Dimensions in Time, Kate O'Mara, whatever. But it's a whole hour and a half, I think, about an hour and a half of rushes of her in the TARDIS, and it is the most glorious thing you've ever seen. There's nothing better than watching Kate O'Mara 12 times in a row say, "Pickled in time like gherkins in a jar."
And then turn and go, "Please tell me you've got that this time."
At the start, darling, I knew the best. The best part of the whole thing of that, actually, is one bit. She goes, "At last, my collection is complete. Prepare to materialize at the world's center, Greenwich." She does it really amazingly. And the director pops in and goes, darling, too camp. And she goes, "Oh, Jesus, really? I thought it was a camp show. What the hell am I doing here?" It's a nice scene. Honestly, watch it. It's so well done.